And welcome in to In-Game Chat for Saturday, January the 18th, 2025. It is Season 19, Episode 2. Second one of the year here. I'm Scott.
And I'm RJ.
Welcome into the show, everybody. If you want to get in touch with us, well, there are plenty of ways to do that. Our website, of course, for one. There is that. There is also Discord. You can find Discord by going to our website, which is ingamechat.net. Go all the way to the bottom of the page. You'll see all the links really to get in touch with us there. Our email address, everyone at ingamechat.net. Twitter, Blue Sky. We're on Twitch. You can watch us there, twitch.tv. Search for In-Game Chat. You'll be able to find us there and join us in the chat room live while we broadcast. So, yeah, join us there. Discord, you can get in and, talk to us as well. So, why not do that? Let me get to clapping here with my board. There we go. So, boy, what an interesting week it's been for, well, considering where we left with our last show, talking about all the leaks of Nintendo Switch 2, talking about all the peripherals, talking about all the people showing off bits and parts and little bitty things of like, here's the screw that ties into the motherboard. I wonder if we can gain any kind of access of how does that retain the power? I don't know. Yeah.
All the creative uses of 3D printing, all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. Well, and then of course Nintendo's like, here we go. There we go, released. And in the most, I would say, Nintendo way possible, which is subdued. Like, brand new console. There's no celebrities coming out to show you a new console. There's no big, explosions or effects or video. Nope. It is the most Nintendo way that you've ever seen a console be revealed. Just very, very, 2.5 minute video with no dialogue, no talking, no words really that tell you anything about it. It's all completely visual. Now, that's not to say that it's not good marketing or a good way to reveal. And I mean, yeah, I'm just.
It seems like the way it seems like that's how you respond when you know you're on top.
Possibly. You could be completely right on that.
Think about how Sony did it back in the day, when they just came out and said a price. That was it.
Yeah.
That's all I had to do.
Maybe not necessarily that they're on top, but they're not competing with anyone. Yeah. It's like we're not trying to steal. Sony and Nintendo or Sony and Microsoft don't have anything really to compete against it. Now Sony has the PS5 Pro. That's their most recent console release.
And how's that going for them?
But I'm actually not sure how that's going for them. I don't know. But nobody's talking about that today. Exactly. This is what I don't know. That seems like a new person there. Putiguri? I'm sorry. I'm trying to pronounce it. Putiguri. Okay. Sure, we'll go that way. No, you're exactly right. That's the other aspect of it. Is that, yeah, sure, it's a very subdued way. It's a very Nintendo way of revealing a brand new console. But it's also a situation where I don't think it's a misstep, you know?
Yeah.
I think marketing and everything else, I think they look at things of like, how do we reveal this? I don't think it was a rush job or anything like that. I think it was always planned to be on Thursday when they did the release, and that's exactly when they did. And I think it was always planned to likely be released or at least be shown like they did. We have to show that this is the second iteration of a console that's out there now. Mm-hmm. When we did the successor for the GameCube, it was a completely new thing with a completely different name called the Wii. Luckily for them, that worked. The Wii became massive. Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted it. Then, when they wanted to do the successor to the Wii, they did the Wii U. Tanked. Mm-hmm. Horribly tanked. And I don't remember the reveal videos of... I honestly don't remember the reveal videos of the Cube or the Wii or the Wii U. I'm not even sure I remember the Switch, to be honest with you. I'd have to go back and look at that. That'd be interesting to kind of go compare the reveal of the Switch to the reveal of the Switch 2. But what that video did, in its subdued way, was to say, here's your Nintendo Switch. Here's what's different with your Switch 2. Without any talking or anything, the screen got bigger. The controllers got bigger. Obviously, if your screen gets bigger, your controllers are going to, because they snap to the side.
Right.
So they're showing you all of this along with the new stuff, everything new in it. They're showing you here's what once was, here's what is now. And here's a couple of cool things that you can do with what is now type of thing, without telling anybody. If I were to break it down, if I were to go through and bring the, have you seen it? Okay. Given that there's no audio for it, mm-hmm. There's music and stuff, and there's noises, sound effects from clicking and things. I'm pulling it up. Do you have? Can you see the screen there?
No, it's off. I could just pull up something on the.
Oh, you can't. Wait, the screen's not showing over there. That's weird.
Huh. Don't worry, I could just pull up a video right quick.
Well, I know that's just very strange. Because it shouldn't be that way. I'm pulling this up now, and all I get are, there we go, first look trailer from Nintendo.
Yeah, a little 2-minute video, right?
Yeah, absolutely, a 2-minute video. So it starts with the Switch. Mm-hmm. Then they kind of take it apart. Screen gets bigger.
Yep.
Then they start going down the console, showing you like, okay, it's a little redefined. We're making it round. Here's your connectors on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Here's your volume. Here's your power. Here's all your little stuff there. Headphone jack. The kickstand, and then they show you what the kickstand does. It's not just a kickstand, but it can also expand so that it can lay down flatter if it needs to. Let's look at the controllers. Old controllers, new controllers. Like, okay, this is how you're going to identify them. This one's the color of whatever that is, kind of peach. Here's the blue. It also shows you the controls on the controller as well. Then there's, not this part, it's showing you buttons. There's this other part where suddenly the controllers are on the ground looking like Tron bikes racing, right? Mm-hmm. So the speculation there is mouse control. In some way or another, that these have a motion type control, which they do. We know they have motion controls in them because the original ones do. But that now on Surface, you can use them like a mouse, perhaps. That is some of the speculation that we're seeing from what that's being shown right there. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you saw, but there's a scene right here where they detach. And I see if I can back up. Ooh, Lord, that's a big backup. I can't make it back up that fast.
I was trying to look on the underside of the thing when you talked about mouse control.
Right there.
Probably motion sensor things.
I
didn't see a sensor under there that looked like that, but maybe I'm just missing something.
It's all speculation.
Yeah.
This could just be an animation of them sliding through. We don't know. But there's a shot here, and I have it, and I know you can't see it because I don't know why that monitor's not working. You can't see it, but there's a shot here where the controllers, after they do their little mouse run, they detach from whatever that is, which is possible that you can't see that, and I hate that. It looks like it's an attachment with the wrist straps that connect to the bottom of your Joy-Con controller.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it is in those that have the mouse censoring type stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, complete speculation on what we're looking at. Then it shows them the new way to connect, which is a little tab on the inside of the console itself that will attach to the Joy-Con, and I believe it's magnets that is keeping them held on like that.
Yeah, that one connecting point.
Yeah, that one connecting point, from what I've read, is going to be a point of failure, or something called I think it's called a point of failure.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that little nub will get bent, broken, possible.
Yeah. That's why I was saying one point of connection on that, because it doesn't look like enough.
Yeah, but
that's just me.
Anyway, then there's your Switch 2, and then it jumps into video game footage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the dock, I forgot. We get more of the branding. What's interesting there, and I'm looking at the screen that has Mario Kart, we believe, 9 being run on there. Again, that we don't know. We're going to jump into all of this here in just a bit, too. What we see there, and I'm only seeing this for the first time, or at least making note of it for the first time, is look at all the black space. In other words, the screen does not go edge to edge. I don't know if you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at.
I'm looking at the thing now. Yeah.
Yeah, when it's got a screen up there of Mario Kart playing on it, and again,
I can see it in this image here. There's a significant on the left and right side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big mass of black there. Now, again, I don't know if this is complete. I don't know if this is representation of what we would see. I don't know if that's just superimposed upon this, image of the Switch 2. I don't know. There's a lot of questions to be asked that we still don't have answers to, and we don't know.
No, we're still speculating at this point. Yeah.
We really are. We really are.
Definitely not edge to edge on this thing. So yeah.
Thar says it's not that massive. People are exaggerating. I wasn't trying to exaggerate. This was my first time noticing, and I'm like, whoa, that's a lot more than I thought. Because I had just watched the original Switch expand to get a bigger screen, but then I look at the image of the video game on the screen, and I'm like, the image isn't much bigger than old Switch if you go edge to edge on it, which the old Switch doesn't, by the way. Go edge to edge. So, yeah. Then, okay, there's the docking station for it. That's great. You can dock the Switch. Then you can put the controllers in the old... I mean, it's the same thing, basically. Then it tells us 2025 for the Switch 2.
I didn't notice the analog sticks were uneven. Has it always been that way?
Oh, you mean like one at the top, one at the bottom type thing? Yes.
Yeah, one at the top, one in the center? Okay.
I believe it has, yes.
There are no twin stick type games on the Switch, is it, that you can think of?
There probably are. I would imagine so. I think Vampire Survivors is on Switch, and that's a twin stick.
Twin stick? Okay.
Yeah. I think... Is that a twin stick? I feel like it's a twin stick. I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. Something else I wanted to point out. Boom. On this image right here, it's as soon as the Switch flips around and you see Mario Kart 8. It's the starting line.
Yeah.
I say Mario Kart 8. It's actually probably 9. My point of that being... AC Wraith says Vampire Survivors is auto-aim. It is. Yeah, no, you're right. It's not twin stick. It's just one. Yeah, it's one stick.
Okay.
The direction you move in is the direction you shoot.
Okay.
That's right. That's not a twin stick. Yeah. You're right. Anyway, this shot here of the starting line of Mario Kart 9 is what we're guessing. It's real quick as they flip around. You can see the starting grid. And there's 24 spots. Which would be interesting to think that you could now have a 24-player Mario Kart session. Which would be fantastic. I'm
chaotic, but
chaotic and fantastic,
yeah.
exactly. So that'll be interesting to see what goes on with that. And I mean, with that, it was 2 minutes and 21 seconds of a Switch 2 video showing off the brand new Switch. So yeah. Let's see. Thar6 says the extra part for it to be a mouse people don't see. They showed it briefly. I think you're right. I really think they did, but I think there's these connectors that connect onto the Joy-Con themselves, and I don't necessarily know if that makes it a mouse, or at least enables mouse capabilities, but possibly. The other part of that is, what's going to be utilized with a mouse? We've had the Switch out forever how long now? Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily run in Switch circles, I don't really... Like, is it coming out on Switch? That's great. Does Nintendo have something, usually their first-party titles? That's what I'm interested in, not necessarily the tech on things. So I'm wondering where people were saying, boy, this would work great if it was a mouse. In other words, what games were, or what were they doing that sort of gave them that thought of, boy, I wish I had a mouse? Could be just simple as just browsing the store. Could be anything, really.
Yeah.
Could be any of the stuff that you wanted it to. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, by the way. I think that's really cool that you can be a mouse now because you have another form of input, whether it be with the controller. And yeah, if you're using it for the store, maybe they're going to revamp the store, or maybe they're going to revamp... I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how it's going to look different, but if it's got mouse capabilities, then... cool. I'm anxious to see how that's going to be implemented, how that's going to be used, whether it's going to be used in game or whether it's just going to be used for navigating menus. I really don't know. That's the other part of that is that if it does have mouse controls, that kind of opens up a lot of access to PC games that are coming over to now. Obviously, mouse and keyboard doesn't work. But because there's no keyboard attachment that we know of, but you've got half of it already with the mouse, and then who knows what else you want to do. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm curious. We're not going to know anything until April 2nd, I believe. That's when we're going to hear more information about the Switch. And so, yeah, that was it though. Completely no dialogue. Just here it is. And the confirmation that you do have backwards compatibility. And yes, I know it's not 100%. They do say some games may not work with the Switch 2, but that, we get it. We understand. Just having backward compatibility in there is good enough, or at least whatever they have. I'm curious as to what's not going to work. I can't imagine their first-party titles not carrying over, Yeah. But I don't know. That's it, really. I would love to say that, hey, we got Switch 2, so that's what we're going to spend the entire show talking about is the new Switch 2. And I'm sure you can go back and look. There are probably 45-minute videos dissecting that thing and talking about it. And that's fine, but we're not going to do that. I know Digital Foundry, who I often have not only just mentioned here on the show, but I watch them very often when it comes to new tech and stuff. I know they have like a 30 or 40-minute video on the Switch 2 reveal. But, of course, they're also pulling in information like they saw shots of the motherboard or the main board for the console. They have a lot more information to go on than I do in that regard. So I'll let them do the 45-minute videos where they talk about the Switch 2. We're not done talking about it. We still have a couple of articles to go, but I mean, obviously that's your big one. Is that the Switch 2 got announced? I'm reading the chat room here. Thar6 says, I resisted getting a Switch, but might buy this one. Got to wait until April 2nd now. It's important for me playing the Switch, Zelda, and Xenoblade on the improved Switch 2, since he didn't get a Switch. Yeah. No, I get it. The fact that they're going to have backwards compatibility for those games is very important, so that you can go back and play the games that you didn't get when you skipped buying a Switch. That's more than acceptable. And I hope you'll get that chance. Again, I'm not sure what the backwards compatibility is going to be like. Again, we have to wait until April 2nd. April 2nd is when we're going to get more information. That doesn't mean the console's getting released that day, so we still don't know when it's getting released. Mm-hmm. There's speculation of late May, early June, something like that. Then, of course, it's possible that it's going to get, it's a holiday thing, right? But from everything that I've heard, everything that I've looked into, as far as I can't say that this is actually true, because I can't remember if I read it as a rumor or as fact, that a company had reported that they are increasing the output of the consoles. In other words, they're warehousing these things, getting ready to sell, but they're doing it at a massive supply so that there's not a shortage. There's always a shortage, though, right? They're always going to be hard to find until they're not. But given the hype on this, given the everybody waiting it, giving everything that I've seen on this, it's not going to be another Wii U situation. Switch 2, I don't think is going to get released and fall flat. I don't think it is. I think it's helpful that they're just keeping the same name and adding a 2 after it. That's absolutely fine. PlayStation did it and had no problem.
Right.
PlayStation did it and had one of the best consoles ever made, the PlayStation 2. And the reason I say that is just, you know what? I don't necessarily know that it's one of the best consoles ever made, but it was a great year for games, or a great era for games on the PS2. So yeah, that's basically it. And we, again, like I said, we got some more stories to cover that concern the Switch 2, and we'll get to those as we get it. But right now, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll go over what we've played. We'll get the show started proper there, and we'll be right back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Your first music. We're going for the, is this the recent ones? I think, yeah, we're doing the recent ones here. But honestly, I say recent, but if we go back to our track record, I was still in like July of last year, grabbing music from music from games that had released. So keep that in mind when you hear some of these titles, because I think I got Star Wars Outlaws or something in here, so I mean, understand where we're at. This is World of Goo 2. The name of the track is called The Wet Sack. Ha. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Back into In-Game Chat. This is music. Again, understand we're in summer of last year for our release window right now. This is what we call stretching the soup. SteamWorld Heist 2. It's the theme from SteamWorld Heist 2. So, there you go. All right, RJ, what'd you play this past week, my friend?
Well, for the most part, I've been playing The First Descendant. Me and some friends of mine have been getting together and still grinding for parts and supplies for equipment that we want to boost up. And they've had an update recently, this past Thursday. They've released the newest Descendant, Inez Raya. And she's an electrical-based character who pretty much, I think, if I'm reading the descriptions right, is pretty good at crowd control and electrifying enemies, making them more susceptible to damage overall.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she's she looks pretty interesting to use. And
So it's a, oh man, what was it called? AOE.
AOE, yeah. I think one of her descriptions of one of her attacks was a big AOE area.
Yeah, I'd forgotten my old MMO talk for a while.
Yeah. So we were looking at that, and so yeah, the thing about it is
AOE, by the way, is area of effect.
Area of effect. Yeah.
Yeah, and so usually when you have characters like that, just to explain that to probably the majority of our listeners, just have us on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Area of effect, you usually have a character that instead of hitting one single target, you hit a point on the ground, and anything within that space takes damage. Or
I'll put it this way.
or gets buffed. If you're
Yeah.
healing a group, you can do that as well. So.
I'll just put it this way: take a water balloon, throw it in a spot, and everything gets wet, gets affected.
Yep,
There you go.
that's the best
how you
way.
put it.
Tear gas. That's an area of effect. Exactly. Those are area of effect things.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we've been doing that. The way they got it set up though is you can acquire the components needed to release her in the hard version of the Void Vessel mission.
Yeah.
There's a Void Vessel mission that you can do. You can do the normal version to get the first release character, Keelan, and the dog companion, Fellow. You can get them there in the normal version. But in the hard version is where you get Inez. So if you can do it solo, more power to you. But for the most part, like especially in my case, I got to get some friends or random folks to go in the hard version to acquire the parts that I need. So outside of that, of course, more Virtua Fighter. I'm still prepping for the Sunday get together on Akai VF's station on Twitch. So I'm still prepping on that, and I also did spent a little time with MLB The Show 23.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since I played it, but thankfully there have been some people who have made some files to download through the vault. So the only thing we talk about with sports games is, like I've said before, the only difference between each year is the roster change. There's no real features. I mean, it's still baseball. It's the same sport, right? They just implemented maybe better graphics or little touch-ups here and there. But for the most part, the only difference is really the roster.
Right.
So people have taken the time to create the current MLB roster in MLB The Show 23. So they just have it available for download. Like,
Nice.
here's the newest roster, so we can extend the life of your game.
You don't have to buy the new one.
Year. Instead of
Yeah.
buying the new one, just you can buy every other year, because you still have some folks out there making the current rosters for the game. So I downloaded it, implemented it, and it's still baseball, and I still have a good time with it. So I played that for some time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wondering, usually 25, or usually the next show hits right before
March, April, May.
Spring or opening day? Round opening day, right?
Opening day of baseball, yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any idea who the cover?
I don't know. There's don't know who the cover athlete is. I know it was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Last year.
Yeah, and then didn't they have Jackie Robinson on there?
Jackie Robinson was a special one
edition.
a special edition for yeah.
Was that last year or the year before last? I think it was
20
last year, right?
I think 23 was it 23 or maybe 23 or 22? I know one of them had Derek Jeter. Maybe 22.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think 22. Maybe 22 had the Jackie Robinson special box, and then 23 had that New York themed one with Derek Jeter.
For Jeter, yeah.
And then 24, I didn't see that one. I know it had Vlad Guerrero Jr. as the cover athlete. 25, I'm not sure yet though.
I don't think they've announced or made any.
Yeah.
I don't think they've said anything for the cover on that one.
Hmm.
Are you looking that up right now?
Yeah, I was looking it up. I didn't see anything.
I haven't heard anything either. So, what else? Anything else, Buck?
No, just those pretty much those three throughout the week.
All right. As for me, I'm sticking to Marvel Snap. I found a great deck. I've done very, very well with a certain deck that I'm using. And for those of you who play Marvel Snap, if you are interested in the deck that I'm using, and I'm trying to find, as much as I'm talking about the decks, and I'm like, where do I go to find my decks? Let's see. I'm trying to think. There's two specific cards in here that you may or may not have. Otherwise, it's really good. It's a really good deck. And if you're curious about the deck, then just hit me up on Discord or Twitter or Blue Sky or something like that and ask me about it. Because I'm not going to go through trying to tell you all the different cards that are in this deck and what they do and kind of over-explain that. But if you're curious about it, because first maybe I'll stream some tomorrow so you can actually see it in action. In fact, I might do that just because I'm really having a good time with that deck. Moved up the ranks real fast here lately. So there is that. Then there's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is what I have been, hammering away at for, a few weeks now. And last week I finally finished it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last Sunday I went through and I completed everything else I had to complete as far as the story was done.
Just straight through one sit through?
I played every chance I got to play. I would play that. I didn't.
So yeah, but no gaps.
No, there were no gaps.
No gaps in story. Good.
It was too, it was too much of a. First off, it's it's the property. Like if it was Batman or if it was something else like that is embedded into my childhood. Even though I say that, and my childhood feels like it goes back to 18 or 19. Like, I don't remember being involved in Batman when I was 5 or 6 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Much less Indiana Jones as well. But, 20s and stuff, yeah, totally.
I blame the animated series.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a perfect point because I was, in my late teens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And mid to late and then on through. But, yes, still, especially because they went from animated to Beyond to all the different iterations of the Justice League stuff that they did. Mm-hmm. Anything Bruce Timm I was down for.
Yeah.
And Paul Dini. The fact that it was that property kept me involved.
Mm-hmm. To
make a better comparison, I still haven't finished. I think it's the second. Yeah, I still haven't finished the second Tomb Raider game.
Mm-hmm.
The one that they did, was it Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think?
Was it Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
Well, Shadow's 3.
Shadow's the third one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's Tomb Raider, then Rise of the Tomb Raider or something. I don't know. It's the second one in that reboot series that they did.
Yeah.
Or a revamp series they did. They did a trilogy, and I still never finished the second one. I went through a lot of it, but I actually never finished it. I never got to the end and finished that game that I'm remembering. But still, my point being is that this was a property that held my interest because of the IP that they had used. You know, you make a Back to the Future game, I'm going to be hooked into your Back to the Future game. You make a Indiana Jones game, I'm going to be hooked into your Indiana Jones game. If you make the Alan Quartermain video game, which would be your Indiana Jones knockoff, a la Uncharted, I suppose. Even though with Uncharted, I can tell you I never took a break in that. But something that's sort of not Indiana Jones, but not Indiana Jones, it may not hold me as much.
Yeah.
You know? So it's one of those situations that that's a factor in it, but not the whole. It's not the whole reason. Obviously, it's not everything. Just because it's based on something I'm familiar with. That was a product of it, but the gameplay itself was good. The discovering the mysteries and solving the puzzles and going through that. The story, I was still hooked on that, going from, all the different places you would go to into the next set piece and that sort of thing. Really, really good. But I did enjoy it. I really don't have any complaints. The stealth was not the best, but it was not necessarily built as a stealth game. The hand-to-hand combat, not bad. Not bad. You could get overwhelmed pretty easy, but it was not too bad. The AI is a little... sometimes unforgiving. It depends on where you're at. Like... sometimes they can hear you really, really well from way, way afar, and sometimes they can't hear you at all. So
it varies, basically.
It seems to be, but it wasn't really a hindrance on the game. It didn't really bother me that much.
Okay.
But yeah, I went through and I beat it, and then I looked at what do I have left to do? Because I hadn't 100%ed it.
Are there multiple endings?
No.
No, okay.
There is an ending, and then there is a bonus ending that I will tell you right now is absolutely not worth the trouble. Find it on YouTube. I mean, if you want to, that's the thing. I say it's not worth the trouble, but it could be to you. So, I mean, don't let me dissuade you from it. It requires you to collect 50 artifacts. Then it requires you to do this god-awful puzzle with those 50 artifacts. Then you get a reveal and a 20-second cutscene that honestly is... The cutscene is just a slow pullback of an image. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they show you a thing and then they just pull back from it for 20 seconds. There's no movement or dialogue or anything like that.
This already sounds like the setup to a sequel.
You know what? I will say this. It didn't feel like a setup to a sequel. It felt like an epilogue. It felt like an after credits scene, not to set up for the next thing, but just to kind of cap off what had just been done. You don't need it from the main story itself, but to have it there and to kind of have an idea of, okay, that's what happened. You can go back and do that. But honestly, you can do that. You can pull that up on YouTube. It's perfectly fine if you don't feel like doing it. If you feel like going through and collecting all 50 artifacts or whatever it was, all 50 puzzle pieces, and then putting them in this god-awful contraption and figuring it all out with 50 pieces. Well, you know what? You don't have to. They're all online. So if you do go and collect it and you don't really care about putting all that stuff in there to figure it all out, the solution's online. Go find it and do that. There you go. Problem solved. Anyway, back to it. Story was great. Villain was fantastic. It was all really, really good. The sidekick was great. There's some bugs. There's some little hitches. There's an achievement for collecting all of your journal notes and stuff like this that you collect for a thing, and I have a map that tells me there's a journal page here somewhere, and I'm standing on it, but I don't see it anywhere.
Nothing indicating above or below.
Right. Well, no, it does indicate above and below, and currently the indication is I'm there. There's no up or down on it. I am where I'm supposed to be. It's not below me. It's not above me. It's right there, but it's not there. I look it up, and they're like, "Yeah, some of these are bugged. If you want to, fix it, here's what you do: you go back to any of the one of the mechanics that they have in the game is they give you a camera, and you take photos of certain things. Every now and again, a little camera icon will pop up in the corner. It's like, hey, something here needs me to take the picture of it. When you get to a puzzle, one of the big story puzzles, you will take a picture of it, and if you're not sure, you take another picture of it, and he takes a picture, and then he says something to kind of give you an idea of, maybe I need to turn this. And then you take another picture. Yeah, I should probably turn this. It's a hint system that it uses. And so they said if you're having trouble collecting these last few notes or something like that, that it's bugging out on you, go back to a puzzle, take a bunch of pictures, and it should eventually work. And sure enough, boom, I got my achievement for taking some of the pictures. So, I absolutely did that. But I collected everything. I went through and I looked at my list of achievements. I was like 6 away from doing all the achievements. I was like, okay, we're going to go back and do this. Had to go back and eat a specific piece of food. I had to hit an enemy with a fly swatter.
Dates.
I did eat dates, just to the fact that I did them. I was like, I got to eat a date. I have to eat a date. He doesn't say anything when I do, but I have to eat a date. Okay. Because I thought maybe, nope. No. But yeah, there's what was it? Some kind of bread, and a couple of other things that you want you to eat, want you to hit an enemy with this, wants you to use your whip to pull a weapon out of an enemy's hand and then beat him with it.
Okay.
Right. It's sort of like kill them with their own, knock them out with their own weapon.
Yeah.
Then there's one where it's like take out an enemy using nothing but counter punches. Then there was one where it's like dodge super punch or something like that you would have to do in combat. And so, what was a couple of other things? Anyway, collect all the notes, collect all this. I ended up doing it. It took me just playing throughout the week this week. I think by Wednesday or Thursday, I was completely done. I was 1,000% the game, or 1,000 points on the gamer score, so I got all the achievements done, and there's nothing else left for me to do in the game itself. It is done. So now we just wait for the expansion, for the DLC that they have mentioned. I don't know when we're getting it, but apparently at some point we're getting some DLC. I don't know how long it's going to last or how it's going to work, but got some DLC on the way. So that'll be what I'm waiting for. And now I look to figure out what I'm going to play next. What's next on my list? I have a lot. I'm leaning more towards going to a platformer. I bought a lot of platformers over the holidays. I picked up Sonic Shadow Generations. I picked up Sonic Frontiers from the year before, or ever how long ago before. So I've got that. I picked up Penny's Big Breakaway, which is another platformer. I picked up Pack World Repack, or whatever that is, the remake of Pack World, I think it was, which is also another platformer. I got Astrobot, which is also another platformer. I also have Spider-Man 2 that I haven't played. I have Assassin's Creed Mirage that I have not played from last year's Assassin, and I said last year, 23's release of Assassin's Creed Mirage. So there's a lot in the tank, and there's a ton more that I have.
Yeah, just
not necessarily platformers, but just a lot of other stuff that I can jump into.
Yeah, it's just, I'm in the same boat. You just got a bunch of stuff in your backlog.
Yeah,
stuff that you haven't finished or need to start.
Yeah, and for me, it was, Indy was kind of an easy pick because it's there, it's being talked about, everybody's talking about it, and of course it's a property that I'm familiar with and that I'd love to play, and I have it on Game Pass for free, so might as well start it and try it, and so I did. Now, of course, I got nothing going on at the moment. I know that we have, we got a lot of releases coming up in February. I think Civilization 7 is the next one that's coming up, or at least the next in the series, Civilization 7. So Civ 7 is coming out in February. Assassin's Creed Shadows was supposed to hit in February. That got moved to March. What else is in February? There's something else in February.
Can't think of anything.
Right I've got to go look now.
Yep.
February. Come on now. Game releases.
Got your date calendar?
I'm looking at IGN for whatever reason on this one.
But Game Rant. See what they say. Let's see.
January. There we go. February. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Civilization 7. Avowed. Yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds. I know a few people who are going to be interested in that. I thought it was more than this, but yeah, it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Civ 7, and Avowed. Those are the three that I'm looking at for interest as far as February is concerned.
I'm looking at a PGA Tour 2K25, but that's on a PS5, PC, and X. So,
yeah, I guess that would release because we're getting into the golf season, aren't we? So they would do that. What do we have for the rest of this month?
What is Midnight Murder Club?
That sounds familiar.
So like I said, looking at Gamer, it says Midnight Murder Club. You said Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Rift of the Necrodancer, Date Everything, The Legend of Heroes, some Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6 remastered.
It's the remasters, yeah.
Yeah, remasters, yeah.
Because they already did 1, 2, and 3, so they're doing 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
That's, yep.
PGA, like I said, Monster Hunter Wilds. So, yeah.
It's not on my list, but I'm sure that's on a lot of people's lists as far as that's concerned. I'm looking at, the rest of January. What do we have? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That is on the 23rd of this month. It's the PC release, just to let you know. Guilty Gear Strive on the 25th. That's a Switch release. Spider-Man 2 on the 30th. That's a PC release of a PS5 game. Sniper Elite Resistance. Brand new Sniper Elite game. That's nice. That'll be January 30th.
So is that 6?
4, yeah, I think so. Because we know they did 4, and then I think they did a 5.
Because remember, 4 was like free for PSN a while back.
Yeah.
And then you were talking, the newest one was 5, came out a little bit after that.
Which I eventually picked up but never played.
Yeah.
And then you got Sniper Elite Resistance coming out as well.
I see DLC for Atomic Heart coming out.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever play that one?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I never did.
And of course, Virtua Fighter 5 Revo on PC.
Yeah.
So that's going to open up a lot of the... if it's crossplay, it's going to open up a lot of players to get with. So I'll be interested in that.
Yeah, I was looking at the list here. It's a lot. Like, if you really just scale it back to the big ones, you got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Civ 7, Avowed, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Like a Dragon. Those are 1, 2, 3. There's 5 big releases in February. 4 of them release on the same day, although it's spread out. Like Kingdom Come and Civ 7 both release on February the 11th. Monster Hunter and Like a Dragon both release on February 27th. And then Avowed's in there in the middle at February 18th. So that's a lot of gaming in a single week. Deliverance 2, Civ 7, and Avowed, both massive games. And by that I don't mean, massive hype. I just mean their scope. The scale is just huge. So it's like getting medieval GTA. Then you get Civ 7. I'm not even going to try and get any kind of comparison to Civ 7. Civ 7 is like you're getting a new Civ 6 or a new Civ 4 or a new whatever Civ took you, into the early morning hours when it felt like it was 5 minutes. That's how Civ works. Then there's Avowed, which it's an RPG. And so it's another big one there. And I want to say is that from Obsidian? Is Avowed from
Obsidian?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. It's medieval Fallout with medieval GTA and or fantasy Fallout and then medieval GTA. That's what you could go. That's what you go with. Lethal Migraine says, is Sniper Elite World War II again? It absolutely is. I don't think they'll ever seem to get out of World War II as far as the Sniper Elite stories are concerned. So,
would it fit anywhere else, though?
It could. I mean, honestly, there is another game called Sniper Ghost Warrior, which is modern sniper missions. You know what I mean?
My initial thought is that it doesn't have the same charm or...
Oh, it absolutely does not sell
wouldn't-
very. The sniper Ghost Warrior does
Maybe
not do very good at all.
Maybe World War One,
Possibly,
World War II,
yeah.
possibly World War One and Two. That's the wheelhouse for sniper.
Yeah.
A game like Sniper Elite. Anything outside of that, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't play Sniper Elite for the story. I absolutely don't. I play it because it's a fun game to play, and the stealth and the kill cams, all of that is really fun to do. But do I get anything out of the story with it? No. I never have. I've never come away from a Sniper Elite game and thought, man, people have really got to experience this story. Never. I come away saying like, wow, man, that looked really cool. How do you improve upon what you've done with the game mechanics, the looks of it, the way it plays, the way it feels, the bullet cam thing that they do, which is just their signature trick. So yeah.
So it's just that one thing, really. I mean, it's fun, like it's fun, like you say. But you're a fan of good shooting in any game. Right?
I know, yeah. But
So-
that and the shooting in that game, I don't.
Because I'm trying to see if you could compare like that with like a Call of Duty, which is like constant gun battles all the time. But you have fun with Sniper Elite. But would you have the same amount of fun like a Call of Duty?
No, probably not.
No. Okay.
Call of Duty, I did. That's interesting. I watched. There's a thing on HBO Max, Game Changers. I've talked about it.
Yeah.
Because they went over the whole Madden, Joe Montana spiel.
Yeah.
They talked about the recent one that I watched. I think was board games. They talked about the evolution of board gaming into electronic gaming. But they had one on Call of Duty. And they were going through. They started at the beginning of Activision, to be honest with you, and then they moved into how EA made the Medal of Honor series, and then the guys broke off from EA to create Infinity Ward, which then produced Call of Duty, the first one. And that first one was fantastic. That first one was great. I remember playing that one. God, that was good. And I don't necessarily just mean the shooting. The shooting was fine, but the story was great. The set pieces were good. They were putting set pieces in here. They were putting stories and just, for whatever reason, I was playing, God, I don't remember. But like at the start of the mission, it gives you the date, it gives you the location. It tells you the campaign that you're playing. And so when I went to look up that campaign online, I saw, here is how that went. Here's how this actually played out. This bridge that I am crossing or that I am trying to take is an actual bridge. This campaign actually took place. Like, I know most of that now happens in your games, I guess. I'm not sure. But for me, that was the first time that it was happening. That was the first time that I was playing something that they pulled from history and said, okay, now you play this. Like, this is the actual thing. Now you go play that. Not necessarily trying to mimic what had happened, but just like this was a real thing, a real battle, a real place, a real bridge, a real name.
Yeah, I mean, the history aspect is in a lot of different games. Like, it's not even military. There was a baseball game I played from years back, and one of the aspects was this actually had this unique event happening in a baseball game. Could you recreate that? So something like that going on. So yeah, the historical aspect, seeing if you can do what happened back then. Yeah, that's an aspect's been used in games a lot.
Yeah, it was released in 2003. And yeah, I'm just looking through it to see, some of the other things that they were talking about there. But yeah, in 2003, that was the first time I'd experienced anything like that. Anyway, the whole Game Changers thing, it was going through the development of it in Call of Duty and kind of what it had become now. But it's not necessarily that I'm a fan of the shooting mechanics in Sniper Elite. The best part of, or the goal in Sniper Elite is to not, run and gun. Yeah. The
stealth is key.
Stealth is key, and basically you're firing one bullet at a time, not let's put it on auto fire, or let's, it was not any of that, or let me pull out my
look, this ain't Contra.
rocket launcher and then do all this.
Yeah.
It was nothing like that. And so that's why I can't tell you that the shooting mechanic's good, because honestly, when you get into a firefight, close quarters firefight with whatever you've got, it's not a fun thing to play. That's not what I get. That's not where I get my kicks from that game from, is that aspect. I get the kick of sneaking around, not getting caught, setting up shots, making sure I'm in a good position, sound is covering my shot and all this other stuff. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
The fun part is figuring out the map, where to go, getting your setup and your base, and then finding out, like, all right, if they come through here, I can set a mine here, and that way when it rolls over, it'll explode that. When that explosion goes off, I can shoot at this target over here to cover my sound. So, I mean, there's a bunch of different aspects to it, and that is my draw to Sniper
So
Elite.
the methodical planning of getting your targets taken down.
The stealth aspect of it. And I know Hitman has stealth, but I like Hitman. I do. I really do. It's no Sam Fisher, obviously. No Splinter Cell. But I like Hitman. But something, just, you're rewarded for those kill shots in
the payoff
in
of setting
Sniper.
things up, yeah.
Really good payoff. Good payoff. So, we got to take a break here. We're way over time. Top of the hour break. We've got music here from Earth Defense Force 6. This track is called Peaceful City. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music here from, and I'm almost positive this is because it got released on like one of the other systems, but Kena Bridge of Spirits. The Shrine Guardian is the name of that track. But Kena Bridge of Spirits, I thought released not last year, but like year before last or something like that. So I think there could be a mistake in there, or one of those like, oh, now it's released on Xbox or Switch, So anyway, welcome back to the show. What do we say the guy's name?
Putagray.
Putagray.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, he says Sniper Elite is about the beauty of removing 2 small nuggets from a certain person. You're exactly right. Although if you're speaking of a certain person, there's only one. And yeah, they're authentic about it as well. If you're able to get that shot off,
I'm about to say, is that an achievement?
Yes, it is.
Gold?
Yes, it
Top
is.
tier?
It's one of those achievements, yes. Because you can pull off that shot in the game. But yeah, it's available to you. So anyway, let's go over some of the news because we haven't touched a bit of it, and let's jump back to the Switch 2. There's not many articles for me to open up here, but I do want to open up and go over almost all of them. So, This article comes from Polygon, and the headline is Nintendo Switch 2 may not support certain Switch games. That's exactly what it says. And honestly, anything that doesn't have complete backward compatibility, they're going to say certain games won't work because maybe there's one or two or something like that. It's not going to be a whole lot. We don't know. But the article goes on to say, you could read this as Nintendo hedging its language while still expecting most games to work perfectly fine on the Switch 2, but that's speculation. And now, evidence from the reveal trailer that Nintendo has removed the IR motion camera from the Switch Joy-Cons, which means certain software that uses that functionality wouldn't be supported by the Switch 2. The IR camera on the Switch Joy-Cons is the rounded black rectangle on the bottom of the right Joy-Con. Games like 1-2 Switch and Ring Fit Adventure use it pretty extensively. The Switch 2 Joy-Cons are noticeably missing this functionality on the Joy-Cons themselves, but Nintendo has added a new sensor, seemingly an optical sensor similar to what computer mice use. Both the left and right controllers appear to have this sensor. Let's see. If the Switch 2 is indeed missing this IR camera, games that use it will either be unsupported or just switch off that functionality to it. So we don't know. The other big question is whether the Nintendo Switch 2 will include, will include an NFC reader. That is the thing that reads the bottom of the Amiibo figures. Do you remember the Amiibos?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they still sell those? I think they do. Yeah,
probably
they do. They do. I know they don't last, or I say they don't last. I know that the whole...
if they were collectible, they probably do still sell them.
The whole figure thing, like, used to be, you know...
Yeah.
I don't know. Spyro started it, I think. Whatever that was, the Spyro games. I can't remember what it was called, but they had all these things that would read these NFC reader things on your whatever and put them in game. Then Lego Dimensions tried it as well, and then Disney did something.
Infinity,
Disney Infinity did it as well, which didn't last. And I guess the Amiibo thing is still kicking. I haven't bought one in a long time, but. Anyway, we don't know that it's in there or not. We just don't know. And honestly, reading these things about, like, here's what we think, it's just speculation. We don't know. We just don't know. So we're just going to wait on that. Also, Nintendo announced a tour. A hands-on tour with the Switch 2. I don't know. Let's see. There's places in Europe. In North America... New York from April 4th through the 6th. Los Angeles, April 11th through the 13th. Montgomery, no. Dallas and Toronto are the other two locations. Dallas, April 25th through the 27th. And Toronto, same there, April 25th through the 27th. They've got dates in Europe, Asia, Oceania as well for this world tour. But that's all you're getting for the U.S., are just three locations, New York, Los Angeles, and Dallas for that. What that tells me, because, let's see, let me look here. These things go all the way into May, and then in Asia, May 31st to June 1st in Seoul. They haven't announced dates for Hong Kong or Taipei, but they are on there. Given that this goes to June 1st... Yeah, again, I don't know. I'm speculating. If you're still doing a world tour in June 1st, that means you likely haven't released the console. So I don't think we're getting it before the 1st of June.
Midsummer?
I'm thinking a mid-June or maybe a July release, possibly.
I want to say somewhere in the middle of July.
Unless they hold out for a whole holiday release and it's like November, like consoles usually do, right? Mm-hmm. But Nintendo doesn't do that.
Get the jump on Christmas?
I mean, the Switch 1 released in like March or February.
Mm-hmm.
You know? No jump on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, more than likely, they started then so that they would have enough supply to hit Christmas when it came around, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. What else do we get?
I would think mid to late July.
Again, going back to speculation, going over some of the games you might be able to play on the Switch too. Look, there was a report, and I don't have it with me to tell you. I don't have anything in front of me to quote it verbatim, word for word. Mm-hmm. But it was something that currently, from what is known, Microsoft has more games in development for the Switch 2 than any other company. Now, understand, Microsoft owns a lot of companies.
Yeah.
A lot of game developers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, apparently Microsoft has more games being developed for the Switch 2 than any other developer. Or publisher, I guess that'd be a better way to put it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I thought that was an interesting little factoid there. So, and the other article that I have here are 5 details fan noticed in the new Mario Kart trailer. Donkey Kong he's got a different redesign. They're moving more towards his movie design from the Super Mario Brothers animated movie that was done. And then also Mario apparently has pulled over his model from Super Mario Wonder, and they've tweaked it to be a little more cartoony there. So there's that. What else do we have? The 24-player Mario Kart thing, the 24 different spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Then they showed... There's another screen of Mario Kart 8, and this person on Twitter said the sense of scale of this image sure gives the illusion of a more open world Mario Kart game. And sure enough, looking at it here, that does not look like a racetrack necessarily. It could very well be, but the way it's presented and shown gives it a sense of not really in a racetrack, just driving on the road, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. We'll have to see.
I think during that 2-minute video, it looked like he's like driving down Route 66.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so not exactly a racetrack, but...
Let's see. Then somebody notices that one of the characters is driving what looks like a snowmobile, even though most of what we saw took place like out in, Arizona, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So there's another aspect to it. And what else? Oh, no, that was nothing. There's a burger stand that is apparently it's Yoshi's Burgers. But anyway, the stand itself looks like Yoshi's head. That's all that was. And I think that's all. Oh, nope. Nah. Okay. No, there wasn't much. There's like a bunch of different things here that I'm looking through, and it's all real subtle little things. That really don't tell me anything about the game itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like, oh, the in-game advertisements mentioned this character, so maybe we have that. I don't know. So yeah. It's, again, speculation. People looking at a trailer for something and then looking as close to it as they can to try and decipher something out of it. So
pixel by pixel breakdown.
It is.
Everything you see. So, yep.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's the Nintendo Switch news. What other little quick hits can I do for... let's talk about Until Dawn. Did you watch the film trailer for that?
Yeah, a little bit. Looked at it a little bit before we started the show, and
I know. That's a proper response to me asking you if you've seen the Until Dawn trailer. That's a good response. Yes, I have seen it. First, for me, I will say that I don't have a handle. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I don't have any connection to the game. I played the game, right?
Yeah, I've played the game as well. Yeah.
I'm not really concerned how closely they follow the game to this film.
Doesn't look it.
Right?
Doesn't look it.
They look like they've kept the character of, well, they've kept the mask of the murderer, I suppose. Yeah, it's a little streamlined, but it's still representing what it is.
Yeah.
Outside of that, no.
Now, I understand you're not going to bring back the actors from the game. Of course not. You're going to have to do that. But I would think, dang, you couldn't find anyone more. How much effort did you put into the casting of this group of folks, of characters of the game? That's one. Two, I think I saw Peter Stormare.
Yeah.
Stormare in there. So, yeah, we got that at least.
Playing something that's completely different than what he played. But then again, at the same time, we know that may not necessarily be the only role he plays.
Yeah, that's right. There's something else that struck out to me as well. Playing the game, too bright.
Yeah,
it's too much for me. Too much daylight scenes. Everybody get there at night, and you're struggling literally until dawn. But there's a whole lot of daylight scenes in this game going on.
Well, that seems to be.
If they're world building or something, I can see that. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know that they are.
But most of the trailer was like a lot of daylight in there, and I'm thinking, where are they going with this? How much are they following the story of the game?
They're not.
Movie?
I mean, I don't really see that they are.
Yeah. So,
with the exception, now that's don't get me wrong. I kind of like the idea that they're doing with it. Not, again, because I'm saying, well, obviously they're not following the game. So what are they doing with it? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And this whole thing of like, we have to survive, and then say the title of the film, Until Dawn. I hate that part of things. That's a nitpick, but yeah, I'm not a fan. But yeah, they have to survive until dawn, and if they die, then they wake up again and get to start it over, kind of Groundhog Day-ish. Or if you want to put it in that realm, Happy Death Day. I don't know if you ever saw that film or that series, because I think they made a sequel, Happy Death Day 2. It's the same thing. Every time she would die, she would wake up and repeat the day over and over again. Until she was able to solve the murder and keep somebody from dying, whatever the case may be.
You will keep dying until you get it right.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And that seems to be the way. And I like the fact that not only is that the premise, but apparently every time it's something different that they have to not die from. Whether it be the mass murderer person or some weird ghost-looking thing or just anything. It's something seemingly different every time. That they have to survive through and figure that out. Which, again, I know you said you saw a lot of daylight. I feel like that's just the setup, because if they don't survive until dawn, they wake up again and have to go through the night. So, like, I think they wake up as night is beginning, like 6 p.m. or whatever, and they have to survive until 6 a.m., I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious about it. I don't think it's sticking to the game itself, but we'll see.
But that's the thing about it. The movies based on games. Who's just going to draw? The people who played the game, most definitely. So they're not going to be. I don't think it's going to satisfy them.
Yeah,
they try to. The thing about making movies, they try to appease to the biggest crowd possible.
Right.
So someone who has no experience with the game might get some enjoyment out of it.
Because a lot more people are going to go see it who have no experience with the game than people who do.
Yeah.
Not only that, I don't necessarily know that the game could be made into a film. I mean, it can, obviously, but which path do you pick?
Yeah,
what's canon?
Because the whole thing is based on the butterfly effect. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I'm not necessarily...
Well, it could give you a whole bunch of different paths you could... you could just splice together.
I would love that. I remember Clue did that. The film version of the board game Clue.
Yeah.
Three different endings.
3 different endings, yeah.
And when you went to a theater, you might be getting, you didn't know which ending you were going to get, type of thing. You weren't sure. And so it was really fun when you talked to people who'd seen the film when it didn't end the same way yours did. And I say that because I didn't get to experience, but I know about it. So if they were able to do that with Until Dawn, it would take a whole bunch of money, but it would be great. Where you could watch some, it's like, man, did you get the version where so-and-so died? Yeah, but my so-and-so died and then came back on this end and yours didn't, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I think that would be fantastic. It would cost a whole bunch of money to do something like that. But I think it would be wonderful if somebody were able to do that. I think it'd be great. Something else that I read that kind of fits in with this, the guy who created Vampire Survivors, they wanted to make a movie out of it. Or at least they bought the rights to make something out of it, a film or something. And the guy who created it reminded them in some way or another, I don't know if it was Twitter, Blue Sky, or just an interview or something. He said, there's no story in the game. Like, I hope whoever's developing this realizes there's no story in the game. You just pick a character and play the levels, and that's it. There's no story. You know, there's no arc. There's no character building. It's,
well, sir, your game is popular enough that we will create one.
Right.
So
well, I mean, you know, same thing goes for, they made a movie out of Battleship, for God's sakes. Not a good one, but they made a movie out of Battleship.
But it was made. Yeah.
So, yeah, it can be done. Somehow. Yeah. You can take a game that has no story, and you can make something out of it. And that's what they're going to do.
Whatever it takes to get your imagination flowing. You know?
I know, yeah. I mean, I agree. There's parts of Battleship that I liked, by the way. But most of it, no.
About a 90-10%.
Well, it just took forever for it to get to the point of the battleship. And then when it did, it was like, oh, this is how they're doing it. Oh, man.
A lot of anticipation, then you get disappointment.
Actually, no, it was a lot of anticipation. It was disappointment in the payoff, or in the oh God. Basically, when the game inserted itself into the film,
right? And
they're like, "Oh, it's a grid system," and then they figured that out. But the actual everything else that was going on, I kind of liked it with the aliens and stuff like that, and the CGs and explosions and stuff. I was okay with that.
Yeah, so what's next?
Yeah, I know.
Connect 4?
Monopoly, actually.
Monopoly?
Yeah. I have no idea how they're doing it, but Monopoly. And I think Game of Life, maybe? I can't remember. But Monopoly is definitely one that they're working on.
Okay.
And I don't know how it's going to go, but it's being discussed. So.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see how imaginative folks can get with these properties in.
I know. Board games turned into movies, right?
Yep.
Coming up on In-Game Chat, we've got, just some more news that we'll hit, but it's the last segment here. Oh, hey, big shout-out, by the way, to, I don't know if he's still listening or not, Dave. He had to get a shower. I think he's out of the shower by now. But, yeah, he's listening, and he is also sending me texts as we do the show. So, hi, Dave. Here is music from Thank Goodness You're Here, which I believe released in July or August. The name of this track is called Amble, and we'll be back with more. Maybe that's a game I should play. Anyway, we'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. And welcome back into In-Game Chat. This is music from, what's the title track for a game called Creatures of Ava. And welcome back in. So something I'm curious about, and I'm just going to do this real quick.
Okay.
My buddy Dave heard me talk about him, sent me a picture. Says he's out of the shower and he's listening to the show. Has his dog right there with him, you know. So I'm gonna talk to Axe, which is his dog. Hey, Axe. I don't know if he's gonna hear me. I don't know if he's gonna be like, oh, Axe, Axey boy, Axe. Anyway, we'll see if he reacts. Probably not, because he's probably never heard that voice before, and he doesn't smell anybody new. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what Dave calls him, but yeah. Anyway. All right. What else do we have on the list of, I don't know, news? We talked about, Sony. They canceled 2 more live service games. Now, we know about the, the situation with Concord and how that thing died a horrible death.
Yeah, they just gave up on that one.
Yeah. Which, by the way, and I don't know if we talked about it or not, but that series on Amazon, Secret Level.
Yeah.
Really good. I really enjoyed all the stuff there, and the Concord one I really enjoyed. I think we did talk about that, yeah. But the Concord one I actually enjoyed. You know, like I said, if they could turn that property around to just be a series of, whatever, something you can watch instead of play, I think they got something good there. But obviously as a game it didn't work. But back in February of 2022, Sony stated that it had aimed to launch over 10 new live service games over the coming years. In fact, a month later, the executive, Jim Ryan at Sony, said he believed live service games were a key part of gaming's future. They aren't, by the way. However, since then, the company has been pulling back on this vision, with several proposed projects canceled. And now 2 more live service games have been added to that list. A report by Bloomberg now reveals that 2 further live service games, one from Days Gone developer Bend Studio and one from Bluepoint, have been canceled by PlayStation following a recent review. That recent review is, Concord. That's the reason we're pulling this, is because of Concord. The company did not say whether these cancellations will lead to any layoffs. However, it said neither of the 2 affected PlayStation studios will be shut down. Bend and Bluepoint are highly accomplished teams who are valued members of the PlayStation Studios family, and we are working closely with each studio to determine what the next projects will be, said a spokesperson. Meanwhile, a memo sent to staff stated Sony was going to do everything it can to ensure there is minimal business impact following the recent cancellations. In the meantime, PlayStation will continue making both online and single-player games. What we did learn is that Bluepoint, which is a studio that did a fantastic job of, what was it?
The Demon's Souls remake.
And didn't they also work on Shadow of the Colossus?
I believe so, but I think their name got thrown out there from that remake they did.
Yeah, it is, and that's I know. It really did. It was going to be kind of like their thing, which is like Bluepoint. Okay, Bluepoint does remakes, but they do them really well. That's not a dig at all.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Bluepoint was developing a live service, and this is a games as a service type thing. This is a Suicide Squad type thing for God of War. They were going to turn God of War into a games as a service thing, or at least make a version of God of War in that vein. Not necessarily that it was going to be a multiplayer shooter type thing, but it was going to have a games as a service type attitude to it. I guess other people come in and play with you maybe, or, their loot boxes and things. I don't know, man. I just don't know, and I don't understand their thinking of like, this is going to work. This is what the people want. We don't at all. We're fine with what we've got in that department of games. We don't need more of them. And again, let me go back to the boss at Larian from Baldur's Gate 3 talking about if you just let studios make the games they want to make, you'll probably be in pretty good hands. You'll probably do well by that logic. And stop doing this. And I'm not saying stop doing live service, but I'm stop looking at where others have been successful at it and thinking, we got to get on that gravy train too. No, you don't. Find a different train. You've got them. Mm-hmm. God of War is a really good gravy train. Last of Us is a really good gravy train. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You've got those. Actually, honestly, while Sony has them, and a lot of them, they seem to be squandering them. They seem to be not doing anything with them, I suppose. I don't think they have enough to be able to, and I don't think Microsoft has enough. Even with all the studios that Microsoft owns, I don't think they have enough either. As far as like your main, hey, this year we're going to release, God of War 4 or whatever. Our next God of War is going to come out this year. In the meantime, while this is being released and making money and people are playing it, we're going to be developing the next Last of Us or the next Uncharted or the next whatever. You need more of those. And I don't think they have enough. Which is a weird thing to say, given that you could probably throw out a bunch of different titles and I'll be like, yeah, but they need more. Like, why did you stop with Infamous? Keep that going. Well, they stopped with Infamous because I think that was the Spider-Man developers, right?
I believe so. But yeah, I haven't thought about Infamous in a very long time.
Because they stopped.
Well, because of that, what was the name of that last one?
Second Son?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I was like, I think it was like lackluster to me. It didn't hold my interest.
Yeah, no,
it's kind of like the same thing that Borderlands did. The further along Borderlands went, the less interest I had. So when the pre-sequel was there, I kind of just dropped off on that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even interested in 4 at that point. But yeah, Infamous was a good title.
Yeah.
Very good title, actually.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I don't know, the whole live service thing. It reminds me of when everything had to be a. I'm missing it now.
What is it? Everything had to be Fortnite.
Kind of. Yeah. Everything had to be PUBG.
Yeah.
Everything had to be that kind of thing. We have to put that survival mode into our game. Mm-hmm. We got multiplayer, but we also have whatever it was called, and I can't remember what it was called at the time, but there was a name for it. Basically the PUBG mode, whereas everybody's fending for themselves, and then the play field gets shorter or smaller and smaller.
Battle Royale.
Yeah, Battle Royale. That's what it was. God, they had to put a Battle Royale mode in there because of everything.
We've had these before where everything had to have zombies in it. Uh-huh. Everything had to have multiplayer in it. Even games that clearly did not need multiplayer.
Had to put
Dead Space comes to mind.
Yeah, like Uncharted.
Yeah,
came to mind.
Yeah. Don't need multiplayer. Just let it stand as it is. It's a good story game. Let it stay that way.
And then Last of Us got multiplayer as well.
Yeah. So there's always been something in gaming where everything has to have this in it.
Yeah.
I guess when the live service, how to make it a live service game instead of something unique and original.
Yep, you're exactly right.
And profitable.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And why these people keep thinking that this is what we want. But maybe they're not. Maybe because of the cancellations, because of Concord, maybe they realize, we might have pull back on this. Maybe we should rethink this, because now you've got successes with Baldur's Gate 3. You've got successes with Astrobot. You've got successes with Balatro.
Yeah.
You're having successes with not multiplayer games, but single-player games or co-op type titles, But yeah, you're having more success in that regard. There was an article that I don't think we got to from last week, but it talked about the fact that Call of Duty is getting more and more expensive to make, and apparently it is selling less and less year after year.
Yeah, it's like sport titles.
I mean, it's Burnout, but yeah,
it's the same thing. It's pretty much the same. Format of gameplay. I mean, how much innovation has been going into Call of Duty? I mean, I haven't played the series much at all. I think I bought that game like one time.
Yeah,
and they don't think about the story. The story is not is a distant consideration. They don't consider that at all. It's all about the PvP and the maps and the things of that nature and nothing else.
That was something that was covered in that Game Changers series that I was watching, because it talked about Call of Duty, and they're like, yeah, Call of Duty released on PC, it was really good, but it really didn't hit it until Call of Duty Modern Warfare. When Modern Warfare released, when they added the multiplayer into that thing and added the perks system with it, then you suddenly saw a shift from Call of Duty. The original was about the story. It was about the different campaigns of war that you went through and played.
Right.
Even Call of Duty World at War, which was like, still pulling from the past, which I think this was the Korean War, I think is what World at War was going after. And you were still playing campaign missions, that sort of thing. But when they went into Modern Warfare and added that perk system in the multiplayer, suddenly it shifted from, all right, we're going to focus on the multiplayer from here on out. And that's what it became about. The story became, the single-player aspect became the second thought. It was like a distant second or third thought.
Yeah.
But multiplayer first. And it was an interesting thing. It was an interesting paradigm shift of let's focus on the multiplayer before we think about the single player. Multiplayer used to be the part that was secondary to it. Now, the single player aspect was either secondary or optional, non-existent. Like, here, do you want the game? There you go. Do you want the single player? It's $10 extra, and we'll throw it in there for you.
Yeah. I was just about to ask you, has there been a Call of Duty release with no story element? Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
I want to say that, I mean, it did. It had it, but I think it was something that you actually did either pay extra for or specifically purchase. Like it was DLC. Like you could download the single player aspect if you wanted to. Otherwise, you could just play the multiplayer. We can install the multiplayer on your system. We don't have to install the single player. So I actually do believe that was the case.
No, so that's not a good place to be. Cost is going up and the interest is steadily going down.
Yeah.
But I don't foresee a sudden drop in interest, do you?
In interest in the game, no.
No.
But sales, I could easily see sales dropping. Well, I mean
sudden, mean gradual. It's gradual right now, but I don't see like sudden.
Well, if you think about it, they don't have to sell it anymore because they got Game Pass. People sign up to Game Pass.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. And that's another question. If people sign up to Game Pass, do you credit that to being the Call of Duty, or do you credit that to, I don't know. Obviously, they look at their bump and see if they got a bump when Call of Duty released.
I mean, I would see that as a Game Pass thing. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. Makes me curious.
All you can do is set the numbers of what people are downloading a lot of, and it would be Call of Duty. But did they pay anything to get? No, because they got Game Pass.
Well, they paid for the Game Pass subscription. So then, do you count that as like, okay, there's $30 or whatever it costs towards the playing of this, and more than likely, they stick around for about the month of it, and then they dip.
Yeah. So I wouldn't.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who signed up for Ubisoft Connect or Ubisoft Plus or whatever the thing is, where you get to play the games. Like it's sort of Netflixy, where you pay a subscription fee for this much a month, and you get to play the entire library of games that they have. So people would sign up for Outlaws. They'd play for that month, get through it, and then they're like, hey, that was a great game for $17 or $18 or whatever it was to get that month access. Same with Indiana Jones, probably. Same with Starfield. Same with a couple of games where, hey, I can pay this fee that's cheaper than buying the game outright, play the game all the way through it, and then I'm done, and I can, people do that with their subscription services too. Game of Thrones releases, hey, I'm subscribed to HBO again. Now, okay, I'm not subscribed to HBO anymore, once the season's over with. Or they do it at the end or something, I don't know. But anyway, it's one of those things. So, let's see. What else do we have? 19,000 games came to Steam in 2024. But 80% of them had almost no players. The majority of games that were played in 2024 were games that were released in 2023. I don't necessarily means that that's because of the quality of the game. I likely just means that, hey, these 2023 games are on sale. I'm going to buy that and play it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
That's my thought. So, how much time do we have left? We may have some time for this. I have not looked over this article at all, but it talks about Bungie, which are the Destiny guys. They had a project called Gummy Bears. It was reportedly shifted to a new team, and now a new report has shed a bit of light on what it might be like. A lot of changes have been taking place at Bungie over the past year. One of the most notable and obviously being the fact that 220 staff were laid off last July. There were also claims that 40 staff from Bungie were working on its incubation project were moved to a new studio at PlayStation. And in a new report, this particular project called Gummy Bears is a MOBA with an interesting source of inspiration, Super Smash Brothers. This apparently comes from multiple sources familiar with the project speaking under anonymity due to being unable to speak about the game publicly. One of the inspirations from Smash Brothers that it is taking is instead of health bars like many other games and most other MOBAs have, it'll use a percentage-based damage system. Like in Smash Brothers, players can get knocked back further and further depending on how high their percentage is, and can even be hit off the map entirely. There's also apparently multiple game modes, 3 main class types, including support, attack, and defense. One source explained it will be possible to hang out with friends between matches and express their identities in-game, which presumably means you'll have customization options in the game itself. So yeah, but we don't know anything about it. And that also makes me wonder about that other game that Bungie was working on, which was also a live service game, Marathon. The Marathon sort of reboot type thing. So, I don't know. Hadn't heard a word on it. I really haven't been following Bungie at all very closely whatsoever, mainly because of the Destiny thing. Because I just don't play Destiny anymore. So, yeah. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. I think we're going to be done here. Let's see. Was there anything I missed here? Yeah.
Well, I did like that article you put in about that director for Bayonetta.
Yeah, I wasn't...
I guess that's the modern day tar and feather.
They want to be covered in poop and shot into space.
Yeah.
Which,
not not him, the leakers of the Switch 2.
Yeah, he wants the leakers of the Switch 2 to be covered in poop and shot in space. Honestly, that tracks for him.
He didn't say poop, by the way.
He didn't, yeah. He said the other word.
But this is FCC radio.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That seems like that's on track for him, though.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in whatever, just in the weirdness of, like, that's your response to this. They should be covered in that and then shot into space. That just seems like something he would come up with, It's on brand, I feel. So, yeah. I don't know.
If only Nintendo reacted that way.
I mean, he works for him, basically. His Bayonetta character is pretty much stuck on the Nintendo Switch. So they're paying him. That's going to do it for us. We're going to head on out here, and I'm going to go and figure out what I'm going to play next. And thank you so much, everybody, for stopping by and enjoying the show. Dave, appreciate you listening. Axe, you're a good boy. You're the good boy. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. We're going to leave. Got music here from a game called Cat Quest 3. The name of this track, and all the tracks have cat puns. The name of this one is called A Pirate's Life for Meow.
Boo.
Yep. We'll see you next Saturday, folks. Have a good one.